I'm standing in the doorway to Nicole Ellis's installation. We're on the top floor of the barge house, and behind us is a long, thin, dark space where Nicole's slide projection is. Nicole's work is probably an anomaly within the rest of the show, in as much as it had its genesis quite a way back. But Nicole and I have had a sort of email dialogue about this piece. This piece was actually had its origins virtually on this spot. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, half of it.
And what I was particularly interested in was the historical resonances when this piece was originally made and today, which this piece has to do with hierarchies and economics. And in the background, which we can just see, is Canary Wharf looming above the riverscape. And Nicole, maybe you, rather than me talk about it, maybe you should talk about it.
Yeah. This image of the boat slip, the hard, is from out the front of this building, and it was quite a sort of, as you say, serendipitous thing that this exhibition, is located here because it's a site I spent a lot of time at during my residency when I was photographing that image at different times, when it was covered up and when it was uncovered, and of course it was a very hot summer then too. It was I think it was one of the hottest summers, and it was really beautiful skies and colour and blue and everything like that. And because I had this offer of an exhibition, I decided to use it with the Canary Wharf Tower that was outside my kitchen window down in the Docklands.
Very nice.
And so it was quite a serendipitous thing, I suppose, that the two things came together. And the first time they were shown, it was on the ground, and that somehow probably broke down that hierarchy that you mentioned. But when you've got that slide of the Canary Wharf Tower up on the wall, then the hierarchy, is reimposed, which I'd always sort of, been a bit questioning whether that was a good idea or not. But
well, I think what's interesting for me now with this work, and what makes it quite an interesting piece for this show, is that Canary Wharf itself, the hierarchy of Canary Wharf itself, has been threatened. Obviously, there's been the financial crises. The financial centre of London, which was always planned to be Canary Wharf, has slightly come back to the City of London. And of course, there are skyscrapers going up all over the City of London at the moment. And the slide is projected onto a very distressed back wall. So it has this almost painterly effect, and almost a ghost of that pristine, of the actual pristine Canary Wharf, of when you obviously photographed it. And I wondered what you thought about that, or whether you have thought about that, the passage of time and how it's affected the reading of the work.
Yes, I think it has changed it a lot, and I like it because the Canary Wharf was so pristine, certainly when I was there, and the Jubilee line I'm not sure was working then to Canary Wharf. I think it just started, but now with this projected onto a very sort of crumbling, painted surface, it's become quite rich and glittery. So it's got that slightly decadent look about it now that it didn't have, in the original projection. So it's added another patina to it that that I do actually really like. So. Yeah, it was a very happy coincidence of it being projected on this wall in this space.
So, in the same way that Canary Wharf, the reading of Canary Wharf has sort of changed over the years as well, I was wondering, on your revisit to London, how you found the Hard, which is just outside Barge House at the moment. What sort of state is that in at the moment?
It's actually deteriorating quite a lot now. I think even when I first saw it, there was some deterioration, very little, but now it's it's lost a lot of its big cobblestones and things like that. So yeah, I sort of wonder. I mean, there is a staircase that leads to it, so you know, in the new building. But I wonder how long it will they just let it go and, you know, sort of push it off into the sand, or, you know, it'll just fall away, I suppose. Yeah, it's one of those remnants that, you know, may not have importance that as some things have, you know, like the barge house, or
Yes.
and the history of that is probably maybe lost, except it was it did ferry cattle. You know, they'd take cattle and down on these things onto barges in the Thames. So, you know, I think of it as a very quite a very working sort of ramp. You know, related to animals and things which were then were very close right in the middle of the city. You know, a lot of the animal trading was done in these sort of areas. So now we don't see those sort of animals at all. So it's a sort of a remnant of that. You know, whereas obviously the Canary Wharf Tower is a completely different sort of structure and an icon of something else.
Absolutely. Okay,
That's,
thank you.